My sound and light show will mix them up. Hey, what gives?
Hello Transformers fans, welcome back to another Classic Pretenders review. We're still in 1989. Took a look at the Patreon pick of Starscream, and then did my favorite of the Classic Pretenders, Bumblebee, the only real upgrade for Pretenders in my opinion. And now we're taking a look at some turds. If you've ever watched myself and Crandall on Armchair Directors, whenever we do a really bad movie, there's a turd alert. So I think it's about time I did a turd alert on this channel for a toy review. The last two Classic Pretenders for 1989 are turds. And it's a real shame because I love Jazz. He's one of my favorite original Transformers. I mean, who doesn't have Jazz as one of their favorite original Arcabots? And this could have been really cool, much like the Bumblebee, but instead it's a major step down. So we'll take a look at the Pretender shell. First of all, I mentioned in the History of Transformers 1989 American Releases edition that the head sculpt does not look like Scatman Crothers. Some people seem to think the US Classic Pretenders look like the Japanese voice actors. You can see he's got some paint rubbed off on his forehead and on his nose because of the helmet. I don't think any of the Classic Pretender shells look like the Japanese voice actors. I don't think they look Japanese at all. And actually, this guy kind of looks like Chris Latta, minus the hair. But it would have been cool if he looked like Scatman Crothers, as I mentioned in that history video. But I don't know who this is supposed to be. Got some reproduction stickers on here, which I got off of Toy Hacks. And the original helmet, the sticker included was red visor. It's coming apart at the corner a little bit here. And the Toy Hacks set included a blue visor as well, if you wanted to go blue instead. I felt blue looked more like Jazz instead of the red. And the plastic, this is rare for a vintage Transformer, is breaking down. You see this in vintage Masters of the Universe figures, mostly Mattel. In my vintage Mattel figures, I see this kind of spots, old age spots. I guess we all get them, people and toys. But the arms are starting to get it a little bit. Not the shell. The shell is still made of the same typical hard plastic that Hasbro used to use on Transformers and G.I. Joe. But the arms are kind of just almost rubbery, and well, they're not all that bendable, but you can just feel it. It's more like a Masters of the Universe rubbery plastic, or like Brave Star. And let's open them up to take a look at the Transformer inside. One more note about the face for the folks who think that they're based on the Japanese actors. The shells weren't available in Japan. Only the inside robots were available as a gift set, which you'll learn about in the History of Transformers 1989 edition, the Japanese releases, which is coming soon. Just putting the finishing touches on that, so it should be up in a few weeks. But yeah, the shells, they weren't available in Japan, so I don't know why they would be made to look like Japanese voice actors when they weren't even available in Japan. And inside the shell is the real turd part of this turd alert. This is such a step down from the original Jazz. And before I get to transforming this robot, just a note on how it's housed in the shell. You have to close up the arms in order to make him fit, and it does close up that way, but the really strange thing is that there's this gap in the back which is shaped like the front of the car. So the first time I got this a few years ago, I'd never had it as a kid, and just playing around with it, no instructions, I figured, well, that's how it's supposed to go, right? That looks like it's supposed to fit there, and it actually does close up that way. but when you open the shell, you don't get that. There isn't much cool about Pretenders. And one of the slightly cool things is when you open the shell, there's the robot inside, so having it backwards is just extra weird. I think it just looks better whenever you open the shell and the face is in there. So here's the small inner robot, and what a turd. This is just a colossal step down from the original Jazz. Let's start off with vehicle mode, and these are the original stickers on it, which are just peeling off like crazy. But this is the original Porsche reimagined. It's kind of hard to see with all the white here because it's a white Porsche, but reimagined as a bargain basement, cheapo, end of the road, running on fumes, classic Pretender. And do a little side-by-side comparison just to see how far we've fallen with. Just did a 360 short on this guy on the channel, featuring music by Scatman Crothers himself. In case you didn't know that Scatman was a singer before he was a voice actor and a live action actor. You can hear some of Scatman singing on that 360 short of the original Jazz. So the classic Pretender is a little smaller. The Bumblebee one made more sense, making him a little bit bigger, giving him a little more detail and posability. And this is like a candy gumball machine version, like a Kabaya gum. It's like a big Kabaya gum toy. It's just such a drop from what had come before it. Die-cast parts, chrome, beautiful vehicle mode, very realistic, and great transformation. Some of the transformations on the original Transformers were ingenious. There's nothing really ingenious about this one. And yeah, I crap on it, while at the same time I understand it was the end of the road. It is what it is. There were huge cutbacks. I think there was only one guy designing these by that point. There was just such a decline in the line that, like, what do you expect? It's not going to be better than the original one. But so as understanding as I can be about why this happened, it doesn't impress me in the least. So to transform him, you need the strength of He-Man to pull those legs out, pull the arms out. Somewhat similar transformation to the original one. Not the arms, but the legs. And that is a tricky arm to get out. And then the hood is so bad. Like, it just flips down. It doesn't lock into place. I wondered if mine was broken or defective or something. But like, you can see the plastic here has just been smashed away over the years by the previous owner. Because that just sits there. I don't know why it would be so chewed away. Maybe 20, 30 years of the previous owner trying to figure out, like, it doesn't lock into place. Things on Transformers always locked into place. Like, there's this original Jazz right here, and his chest locks, and that feels locked there, so that when you turn him upside down, well, that kind of drops up a little bit, but you get a nice snapping sound when you move things around. Things feel secure. And in this one, nothing. And a 360 of Pretender Jazz in robot mode. And you can see if you look at him from kind of a low angle, another problem with this robot mode is that you can't really see his face. If you are looking down at him like this, it's even kind of almost slightly obstructed, but if that's eye level right there. See how the hood is blocking the view of the head. Just another I don't know. I just think the guy had no time who was working on this. Guy was designing this stuff. Just, this to me screams of no time, no budget, no nothing. Just get her done. So there is the original Jazz. The original one came with this rocket launcher, which does not fit properly in here. It's supposed to just slide in back there, but it's always falling out. And one nice little effort was that the guns sort of, kind of, but not really, are similar. The original one had this kind of circular thing here. This one has this kind of circular thing. It's not all that close, but from a distance, if you squint, maybe general look, like at least that's still the front of a car is his chest. It's really not that much else similar. It's got the racing stripes. They'd lost the Martini racing logos by then. The early days of Transformers, it was like the Wild West. You can just use whatever car you wanted. They didn't need licensing deals, and they could just use whatever racing logos and stripes, and it was all just cool. Just 80s cool. Don't worry about it. But then whenever anything gets a little too successful, people want a piece of the profits, and that's why, like on this reissue, Martini Racing was changed to Meister, which is Jazz's name in Japan. Still got the number 4 though. Number 4, and the doors along his arm instead of flying in behind like that. Give you a close look at his head sculpt. It's pretty similar to the original one. It's blue instead of black. I wondered if the visor was painted and the paint wore off, but I think it's actually just kind of the paint from the helmet bleeding off onto the visor. And I think that's about all I have to say about this. Focus on what you love, not what you hate. And I don't know if I really hate this. I sure as heck don't love it. But I wanted to get the classic Pretenders all out of the way before I do the history of Transformers 89 Japan edition. So here's Pretender Jazz, and even worse than this is Pretender Grimlock coming soon as well. Sometimes I see comments where people say, thanks a lot, now I have to get that, I'm so jealous. Well, hopefully this review serves in a opposite way, and you can take it as a warning and go, oh, I kind of wanted that Pretender Jazz, and thanks for the warning. Now I know I really don't need it. It's an interesting oddity to have if you're a huge fan of the character, but it was definitely one of the last G1 Transformers I added to my shelves, and he did not add all that much to it. So if this is missing from your collection, I wouldn't worry about it. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks to the Patreon tribe for supporting the channel, as well as the channel members. Thank you for all you do to support my work. And until next time, good night, good luck, God bless, and stay cool, man.